Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100-plus globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100-plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500-plus multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100-plus authorized training partners and 50-plus universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000-plus members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100-plus globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100-plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500-plus multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100-plus authorized training partners and 50-plus universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000-plus members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global.
Hello, dear participants. Thank you so much for joining today's session. A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are joining this session from. We'll be starting a session now. Please allow me a minute so we can start quickly for today's session. I hope you all can see my screen, and I would love to give you all a very warm welcome to our series GSDC certified learning autonomous AI agent transforming enterprise operation with a theme that is empowering the future of business with intelligent, self-driven AI agent that redefine operational excellence. My name is Preetham. I'll be here as moderator. Feel free to reach out to me in case if you have any question or concern over the chat box, and I'm very happy to assist you all. So what excites this series more that we do have this incredible experts, global experts who will be joining us to share their insights. So today we'll be having another incredible session with Jeremy. I'll be introducing our today's speaker shortly. So do join us for all the remaining sessions as well with the same time slot that you have joined right now. You can use the same registration link as well. So before I could hand over the mic to our speaker, would love to quickly introduce our hosting organization, GSDC. We're known as Global Skill Development Council. We are vendor agnostic, vendor neutral. We're globally recognized certification body, and I'm very proud to inform you all that we're accredited by ABICB. We do have 100 plus certification portfolio with us. We have certified more than 250,000 professionals worldwide so far. Also, we have 500 plus subject matter experts. They are the industry experts. They work with us closely to help us with our exams, programs, and all the deliverables. Also, you can see that we are associated with 1,000 plus multinational corporates, 500 Fortune companies, and 50 plus universities across the world. And I'm very proud to inform you all that we do have 100 plus authorized training partner across the regions. We have partners in Asia, Africa, Canada, America, and many other countries. So a big thanks to all our training partners and those who have joined us through our training partner channel. In case if you're looking for any training program for yourself, feel free to reach out to our training partners to have an inquiry about the further training programs. In case if you're looking for, you'll find all the contact details shortly in the chat box. A special thanks to our official media partner, World Press Hub. They cover all our events and press releases. A quick introduction to the GSDC AI Studio, a platform where we are providing 100 plus live sessions on AI, which is led by global experts, where you'll be getting 4 daily sessions, which is 45 minutes of live impactful sessions along with the hands-on learning, where you'll be getting chance to apply all the concepts immediately that you have learned. And in case if you get any question or doubts, that will be resolved instantly with the help of our subject matter experts. And this training is aligned with the industry standards for the job ready skills. So this is the great opportunity where you can learn from the global AI leaders around the world. In case if you're looking for GSDC AI Studio for further information, feel free to reach out to our learning advisors. I'll share the contact details shortly in the chat box. So this is our current certification portfolio, which is specifically designed for our professionals who want to stay industry relevant in this AI era, who want to upskill themselves, right? So we do have this certification majorly in learning and development, HR, generative AI, agentic AI, emerging technologies, ISO lead auditor, implementer, project management, and PMO, agile DevOps, SRE, cybersecurity, digital transformation, and so on. In case if you're looking for any of these certification, feel free to reach out to our learning advisors, or you can visit our website for more information, www.gsdcouncil.org, to check other offerings as well that GSDC has for all of you. So what all benefits you'll be getting in case if you opt out a certification from GSTC? You will get lifelong membership with that certificate upgrade, free access to all our workshop, boot camps, and guess what? Free access to all our exclusive learning program that we have. With that, you'll be getting implementation resources, speaker invites, and newsletter. Many benefits, right? So if you want to understand more about these benefits, feel free to reach out to our learning advisors. They're always there to help you with this entire process of the certification opting out. And also, this is amazing experience we have received from our previous attendees. So please check this out. And without any further delay, I would love to introduce our speaker today, Jeremy Vizca. He's a Microsoft MVP and Dynamics 365 Business Central architect and developer at Brightcom Solution with over 25 years of experience in enterprise software. He specializes in bridging the gap between traditional ERP system and modern AI driven workflows, helping organization build practical, scalable solution As an international speaker, educator, and content creator, Jeremy is passionate about making complex technologies accessible and empowering teams to leverage AI effectively in real world business scenarios. Let's explore today's topic, bridging agentic tools across organization. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for joining us today. You can have the hander of the mic now. Thank you very much.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Let's get everything started. First of all, we're going to be talking today about autonomous AI agents and thinking about it from an enterprise operation level. Oftentimes, what is happening in organizations around the world right now is that developers are doing very, very clever things with agentic tools, and where we really want to bring things forward is to the rest of the organization. So we're going to talk today about things that the rest of the organization needs to start thinking about with that agentic technology, and how to approach finding opportunities to bring agentic thought process to things. As mentioned, I've been working in the Business Central ecosystem for a very long time, and my focus for the past year has been building agentic systems across a full practice lifecycle, not just development, but I also, having 20, 30 years of development behind me, it is a very strange thing to say that about 5-6 months now, I've not written a single line of code. So we're going to talk today about the automation spectrum, because this is where agentic really starts to become very important for the entire organization. We gain efficiencies as organizations by finding opportunities to automate things. And our automation opportunities, once upon a time, were hard automations. For example, I can bring in XML documents that create an invoice. I can post the invoice. I have very clear operations. They're very defined. There are very strict rules. When I send a shipment notice to somebody, it's very clear what that format is going to be. Throughout the 90s, early 2000s, there was a lot of excitement about RPA, robotic process automation, where we could do screen-based controls and try to make scripting that would be able to click through software, because we felt like that would maybe be the secret sauce of automation, and it didn't really get where we needed to go for many users, especially. It was very brittle. The other problem, though, is that we also hear on LinkedIn and all these other platforms about this beautiful futuristic world of full AI autonomy. And right now, we're not there yet. We're really not there. So what we're going to focus on today is that magical space where automation brings something to the table that I think of as fuzzy automation. We need judgment to execute on the process, and the input is going to be different every time. So an important thing for executives, managers, and those sort of things to understand is that when we're talking about agentic patterns, the beating heart of agentic is the fact that there's those large language models at the very center of the process. In the very center of the process is that new idea where, just like you have probably experienced in going to Claude or Copilot or ChatGPT, you type in some text, that text goes into a model, and it comes back with an answer that is roughly answer shaped. There's a fantastic line from one of my peers in the Business Central industry that agents hallucinate 100% of the time. It's just 80 to 90% of the time that hallucination is useful. We need to think about what the process of bringing agentic into the space is that our job is to define the input that is going to go into the model and the output that is going to come out of the model. We want to be very, very structured. So a big part of what we need to be focused on is making sure that we think through how do we feed the right information into the model and ecosystem. So we're going to do a quick real demo that is something that we use in our organization as an example. A common challenge in our industry is that we are generally consultatively developing. We are, whether it be an internal stakeholder for a product or it is a customer request, somewhere along the line, a stakeholder, consultant type person is deciding that the software needs needs to change, and a developer needs to help make that process change. So we have our lovely demo here from dealing with a messy input. So we have in our ecosystem, we're a very Microsoft shop. This approach absolutely works in any number of platforms, and we'll talk through the conceptual process of how this works. So in our business world, I'm going to use the Microsoft Forms engine, but you can use Google Sheets or any number of other solutions, lots of different platforms you can use. I want to, when I want to create a purchase order from a sales order. So a customer has placed an order and we need to fulfill the order from the relevant suppliers. So we'll do that when the sales order is created. And we'll also be a fancy consultant and say when this PO is created, the user should not be able to modify it. We're going to include some lovely typos in there, skip some words, because the point of this is you don't have to be precise. This is going to go into an agent. So I'm going to submit this, and that's all. We have an idea, a wish and a want. And that form is triggering through an automation. If we come in here, we'll see that there is an automation that will kick off 13 seconds ago that is starting to run. And in our lovely background, it is evaluating this process, and based on a set of instructions that I've built for my agent, it will come back and share with us some message from the agent. I appreciate the details you've provided about the change request, create purchase order from sales order, but I need some more details on this requirement. Customer Central, Business Central, the software I work with, already supports drop shipment and special order processes where purchase orders are created from sales orders and linked together. So based on your description, I'm inferring you either want this to happen automatically without user action, or two, you want the resulting purchase order to completely be non-editable. So in this scenario, we have a deep instruction that has understanding about the existing functionality of Business Central that is baked into our instruction to point to the model and say, you already know all about BC. It's documented on the web. So always check to see if there's related functionality. So in my case, I want the consultant is messaged in this case via Teams and can respond in that. So it's not a big deal for the person who's filling this in, perhaps during a meeting with a customer, to answer these questions on their phone. So I want a new action on the sales order that creates POs grouped by vendor, by the items vendor number. Then the PO should not be changed. But then based on the description, I'm inferring the business value is to streamline fulfillment and prevent users from changing things after the PO is created. Is the primary goal to enforce purchasing discipline and reduce errors, or is there some other business driver like compliance, automation, or simplicity? Enforce discipline sounds good. And again, we don't need to be precise. We're dealing with language models. So in my case, I'm using the Power Automate. This could be done with N8N and any number of other tools. But in Teams and Power Automate, we have workflows where we can ask questions. And when the response is sent back, that question will go back through the Power Automate workflow. And in my case, this has come back and said, I appreciate that you've provided some extra details. I need some more details. So I'm proposing the following acceptance criteria. So this is now teaching the consultant or verifying with a consultant, what do you consider done? And it suggests these scenarios. This sounds pretty good to me. Does this reflect your definition of done, or should any of these need to be adjusted? Sounds good. I'm inferring the vendor number for grouping should come from the item card, and the system should use the default vendor. Is this the intended behavior? Yep. So we don't need to get into the weeds too much on the answers that it's giving. And we are going to also talk through a little bit about how this flow is working and how you can implement one like it. Again, the key here is having some mechanism by which we can have automations that know how to chat with your consumers and your stakeholders. So we're inferring the following assumptions. Sounds good. I'm just going to skip right on by a few things. I'm inferring that these things are true. Yep. You got it. You got it. Nice and easy. So the instructions, which we're going to talk through, the instructions always, in this case, are asking a couple questions at most at a time to not overwhelm the user and to iterate. So that way we can refine our instructions. And this is an example of if we were a consultative practice and we didn't have agents, a human developer would get the requirement from the consultant and they would need to set up a meeting. They would need to send a Teams message, send an email, send a Slack message, whatever platform you're on. They would need to come back to the consultant and ask these questions because they're needed to be able to implement the requirement. And with all of this, we have some automations running along. And just to talk through what is actually happening while we're waiting for some of these. There we go. It's already all done. It has gotten all of the requirements together. And so it came back and said, here's my proposed updated feature description. The business value is this. The functionality is this, step by step, what it will do. We also have some scope requirements and some out of scope requirements. And based off of all of these requirements, your development effort is estimated to be 24 hours. And don't forget to add any consultative work or any other hours related to that effort. And because in our organization, being a Microsoft eShop, we use Azure DevOps. If I go look at my project management system here, DevOps, the agent took the requirement to create the purchase order and sales order. We grab the original requirement, and this is requested by me, and we can see that it filled in an estimated hours that the AI specified, so we can verify it. It updated the description here with the exact description we saw. This becomes something very easy to share with a customer for sign-off or a stakeholder to agree to. And additionally, one thing that is very common in a consultative sort of practice is, can you agree between everyone, what does it look like for this work to be done? And we can see that it created all of this lovely acceptance criteria that we can verify, does this really meet the need? Like, for example, the item lines only is one thing we refined in the conversation. And we also have this lovely developer notes that tells the developer, here's what you should implement, some additional actions onto the UI, some additional code, some additional data storage and tables, and what is the core logic and the testing guidance. And in that broader agentic perspective, we now have the opportunity for a senior developer or senior architect to review this and go, this looks good to me, I bless this. And with the Microsoft stack, we can also do the send this to GitHub Copilot. And we can have a coding agent begin to use all these developer notes to start agentically develop. So in a very short period of time, we've changed a significantly painful process for a lot of people. The problem that we just were able to see in about 10 minutes of demo, something that would have been a vague email or message from somebody, a quick phone call, there would normally be a discovery process that goes back and forth across days of calendar time. You lose a lot of time. You might, if there's a cost to the hours, you might lose a lot of money in either excess billing or whatever have you. But we also experience that the person who is answering some of those questions to the specification, they may have already moved on to the next project by the time they get the questions. And so context for that person is lost. Without the agentic assistance, the specification quality is also varying wildly. You know, do they cover out of scope and in scope things every time? Many organizations solve this with template approaches to try to make that easier. And for estimation, most of the developers I know don't enjoy creating estimates. When I spoke to one crowd of developers, only one person raised their hand that they like doing estimates. And typically, how do I test is a question that when you hand this to the stakeholder and say, give it a try, do they know everything they should try? But now afterwards, instead, we have an ingestion form. We have these AI interviews in just a few minutes, and it proposes stuff that the human can just go, I'm not sure, but that sounds right. We get a complete specification with the notes for a developer. We have the agreed upon acceptance criteria and time estimate. This is something that can immediately be taken to a management decision or a customer decision, and it becomes very clear. And as mentioned, what we're doing in our organization is we're starting to be able to move to a developer can review it, does not write the code. And that's a very big organization shift. This was something that a year ago, if you told me we could automate using some of the technology available to us, could we automate specification crafting? The answer would have been no, of course not. We could create great templates, but we couldn't create automation around this, of course. No. So in my case, I'm using for this architecture a Microsoft form, Power Automate. Power Automate calls a Teams adaptive card in Teams, and it writes all of the results to Azure DevOps. For Microsoft companies, this is all very normal stuff. And the only things that's new in this process is that we brought that input model output flow into the flow. And that involves an Azure AI backend. And we have two prompts at play. One prompt is you are a specification interviewer. Your job is to find all the faults in what I've created and ask important questions, all the things that we need to be able to explain the value, the concepts. And we also have a technical writer whose job it is to transform all that investigation into the final results. The prompt that we can talk through that I'm using in both cases of the technical writer and the investigation writer, these are not high technical concepts. These are things that as a team, managers and stakeholders can absolutely sit down with teams and map this out. These are instructions that someone needs to know. If you were to hire someone brand new, instead I'm hiring this AI, what is their role? And what is their responsibilities? Here is how we're going to feed you the input so that you understand what to process. There's also domain knowledge. So in our organization, we have products. We might need to include our product knowledge in that decision-making process. We want to add this feature, but there's already a feature like that in this product. We also have to tell the interviewer, for example, the assessment criteria. If I tell an agent to make a good result, what does good look like? Explain how to handle the ambiguity. It's a real world. People answer in all sorts of ways. You saw I answered things like, you got it, to an or question. I don't know how many of you have family members. You'll ask, what do you want for dinner, this or that? And they just say yes, and you have to guess which or they mean. But we also have some iteration handling to say, how should I take the previous answers and questions into account? And because this is part of an automation workflow, when the agent answers, it's extremely important that that output be in the same structure every time. So we give it those rules, and we also give some examples about that. Now, what part of what makes this smart is that we're always proposing understanding and asking for confirmation, because this allows simple yes, no's for people. We're catching any of the overlap with existing functionality. I can't hammer home how important that is, but we're also slowly building context more and more. Now, I will make mention that one of the things that is available to you, if you go to my GitHub profile page for Jeremy Visca, I've got lots of different repos. They're very BC industry specific, but sometimes you have just all sorts of useful things that you don't know where to put them. This prompt falls into that category. So I have, much like I have in my kitchen, a drawer full of useful things that have no better home. I have this little Copilot junk drawer. And in here, there is a work ingestion folder. And this contains the entire framework of what I just demoed. This includes the ingestion prompt, that investigator to ask the open-ended questions, and it includes the prompt at the end that takes all those questions and answers. So you can absolutely come to this repo and follow the walkthrough, follow the guides. There is a quick start example that will walk you through step by step. And the README on all this includes all of the details about how it works. We cover all the lovely info, lots of FAQs about things. And I believe it's in our quick start example. I even give you a visual guide of what the flow is in my automation software. So if we look at the flow, it's basically based on a form response, and we do some setup work. We could route the prompt based on different categories. So for example, maybe different products have different questions, or different industries have different questions. You could do that, just initialize your prompts. And then I would go through this call, and we could see that what we do is we call the AI for an assessment. And that gives it the prompt and all the details from that work item. And the AI will give us back a response that has a list of questions. And from that list of questions, we will ask the top two. And then we're just going to loop and loop through all of the questions. I found up to 5 is maximum, and I usually like to ask 2 questions at a time. This is a learned experience thing. If you ask one at a time, always, people get frustrated with how many rounds of questions. And once you've hit about 5 rounds, people lose patience. So I ask 2 at a time, up to 5 times. Once all that's done, we write back to Azure DevOps. So this is a conceptual workflow that you can use and you can bring into your ecosystem. And each of these prompts has all of that infrastructure that you can fill in gaps. So for example, that inference first approach, we can see before asking for missing info, try to make reasonable assumptions. When info is missing, you should infer a reasonable guess, state your inference, and ask for confirmation or correction. So there's lots of things here that you can tune and teach in the approach to how you're building things. So if you're a non-technical person watching this, what you're basically going for is, if you were to sit down with your customer, your stakeholder, what are the kind of things that you would want to ask? Bake those into this. So thinking about the flywheel of this first example is one example among many of that fuzzy automation. We took a very, very basic starting point, and we were able to build a high confidence specification that we could auto create and auto assign to agents. That changes things in a pretty big way. For those of you who are more in the development side or the support end of the ecosystem, one of the things that we make use of a great deal is that in our coding workflows, we have also discovered an opportunity for automation. First of all, we have agents will update the pull requests, but agents can also help us generate diagrams for the users or stakeholders to understand the workflow of the code we just wrote. Something that we have also found a nice, easy opportunity. Many organizations have ecosystems where they publish release notes for their software to keep consumers up to date, stakeholders up to date with all of the changes to product. But that requires a significant discipline effort, and a little bit of technical writing skills for your developers? Well, one of the things that you can do in any number of coding software is you can create hooks that when we're done with agentic development, we can generate documentation files. In our case, we generate release notes when our code is done. The automation part comes in then that when a pull request of some code has been approved by the stakeholders to go into the product, we have pipelines, CI/CD, that officially publish that to the website. So whenever we have a coder working along, developing from that specification, part of the process is at the end of the code writing, it generates documentation now that we're good to go, and automation scoops that up and picks it along. So the fuzzy part is we don't know what's changed. Anything could have changed. We could have added features, we could have done bug fixes, but then it goes into that automation pipeline. So we have another lovely fuzzy automation. We also make use of the fact that in our Azure DevOps ecosystem, again, you could do this with any number of project management systems, but we are Microsoft eShop. We use Azure DevOps, which has the ability to host a wiki directly from the code. So anytime our documentation is generated as part of that previous step, we also have that markdown where we might, for example, we have sales information, we have setup information, we have usage information, we have support information. That all can go into the repo right along with the product. And that can be surfaced as part of our Azure DevOps Wiki. And what that does for us is Azure DevOps Wikis can feed the M365 Copilot app, and therefore can feed agentic software. For those of you working in like the Google ecosystem with Gemini, there are tools where you can connect up to other wiki platforms. Claude Desktop has a variety of connectors to other wiki systems as well. So again, all of this can be very nicely abstracted. But this means that right from the very beginning, we have this ability that from the fuzzy automation beginning of what do you mean you want to make this change can turn into code which can be executed agentically. We can execute on the documentation agentically, and that can surface to be consumed by agents automatically. For example, all of our documentation for support, that is surfacing within our application to agentic tools inside of the Business Central ecosystem. So you can ask questions about why isn't this operation working? And that information has come through this whole fuzzy automation process. So you can see how every step in this process makes the system smarter the next time. Because that information is in the wiki, it can be consumed by the spec writing agent. Because all of the specs are in the code right along with it, the next time we need to generate docs, nice and easy, they're there as well. So what I would encourage each of you to do who are kind of watching this and trying to go, how do I abstractly apply this to my organization and some of my organization processes? I would say start small. Pick one process, your fuzziest, most painful process. And what I mean by that is we picked specification writing. That for us latticed through the whole process. We could, as a consultative development shop, identify that there were breakdowns in calendaring and breakdowns in budget. What do you mean? Each step along the way, there was a lot of friction transferring from person to person. That would cost schedule, that would cost time, and cost money. And it seemed like the process of moving from wish to delivered happy customer, that process had discrete and known steps. What can we do tracing along that whole way to introduce that agentic thinking? One of the next things that you would do is with that process, figure out who's your best person. If you were to get like, the top person in your organization to sit down and describe everything they think of through that whole process or at the key parts that they own, try to abstract that checklist. Pretend you're hiring a brand new person that's going to shadow this best person, and you want to capture their operating manual. Some organizations, you may in fact would have a variety of certifications you have to have where you have that operating manual already. Great. Capture all of that. Do a meeting that has some sort of transcription, like our organization, we would use Teams. Do that interview with that best person and just turn on the transcript. And guess what? You're going to capture all of that in a fashion that's an audio file or a document file with all the captions to that. Now you can use an agentic tool like Claude or Gemini or Copilot. You can ask it using that GitHub repo as a skeleton. I want to turn this transcript into one of these instruction files. So you can use my repo, just paste that into your agentic tool and say, turn this into an interview prompt based on what we just talked about and what's important to our industry. A timber industry company is very different from an apparel, from a food, from any number. So work with your best people and build those instruction files. And then remember that this is now your version 1. This is your very first time at this. So test with some real inputs and assume it's going to be wrong first. But the neat thing is that you can see where it fails and you can go, this wasn't what I was expecting. So you can take the specification that did not meet your expectations as an example, or as a specification. You could do any number of other things. If you created documents or support guides or setup guides, take the resulting output from your real inputs, see where it produced that, and then adjust it. Make it be what you would have wanted it to be. Take the output that the agent tools had given you, take the corrected version and the instruction file, those 3 files, go back to your agent tooling and go, what about my instruction produced this and not this? And you can have the agents help you iterate the prompt. Typically speaking, once you've identified your automation tools, it's going to be the prompt that is the beating heart, the model's instructions. So iterate that prompt. Think really hard about what can be better about it next time. You might, for example, in your prompts, have different ways about estimating work effort. You might do story points or any number of things. Where else can you apply this sort of thinking besides development? Well, pre-sales is an example opportunity. We do a lot of sales-based operations. One of our example automations that ended up being really popular is we often are building our software, the ERP software we work with. Our company specializes in integrations with other systems. That requires a certain amount of API documentation. In our pre-sales step, we now have an agent that we've constructed with a very careful set of evaluation instructions. Our sales team can pass the API URL to the agent that has that prompt built in to look for red flags. We actually can right there in the first meeting with a customer answer the question of, we don't have a connector to that system. Let me check to see if there's any problem points, questions that aren't answered by the documentation you just gave me. Our salespeople love it. It's fantastic. It saves us a lot of heartache, and it gives a very clear action list. Very easy prompt to build. In the support ecosystem, same idea that we can take user images, because LLMs understand images pretty well. So we can actually create a troubleshooting tree for the agent that can help, based on a message, identify exactly where things came from. All of our messages emit specific telemetry events with specific error codes, and we have, a whole bunch of prompt instruction that says the scenarios that would lead to this error message are all of the following. Here you go. Now you can work backwards from that error message to resolve the issue. And another critical thing that people are challenged with is when you're a project-oriented company and you get to the end of the project, You can do analysis work with agents really well against the time entries, the documents that were produced, the change requirements that were produced. We're a very project-oriented company, so we can do interviews with our company, with our customers after a project, big or small, has completed, and we can feed that into the model and go, where did our methodology not match? Where did our ability to estimate this go wrong? Out of this and maybe the last 3 judgment documents made from the previous 3 projects, are there any risk items, red flags, that we need to watch for in any of the future projects? So all of these things can be very, very challenging processes for an organization to find optimization. But each one of them, pre-sales, evaluating an API, support, resolving a problem, project analysis to see did we do what we meant to do in the time we meant to do, those all have checklist processes. It's just the inputs vary. So take a deep look at your organization at what can you identify that the process is mostly the same, but there's variance. Which leads me nicely into the homework for everyone who's watching this. What do you have for a repeatable process that requires thinking and judgment today? I will say that, one of the great sayings about, agentic thinking is that they have all the knowledge, but none of the wisdom. So I would say you still need to have human in the loop moments to help execute on the real judgment calls. But a lot of times we can work with knowledge. Okay. So in that repeatable process, try to identify what are the actual variables that change every time. Typically speaking, budget is always a concern. Schedule is always a concern. Sure. Okay. But that's definable. It's within that you have fuzziness. What are the expectations, the cadence, and all that sort of thing? For the input, what sort of information from your customer or those sort of things can you assemble programmatically? Are there ways that you could structure your data coming in? And I apologize, I had Teams open for my demo. And of course, then I have chat. So then with the knowledge, try to capture that knowledge about your products, your tools, and the processes, especially the processes, the best person. What did they know that you can turn into a process manual if you were to do a manual for it? For each of those fuzzy processes, what does done look like? Is one of my favorite questions to ask as a developer who's given, work. If I come back to you and say it's done, are we in agreement? That's true of every process. So then you also need to think about, okay, I'm, for example, working with Power Automate, so it natively understands JSON. So I would want to work with structured data that makes sense for my automation. That doesn't have to be how I do things. I could want the output instead to be an email. I could want it to be a Word doc, a PDF, or something like that we are going to emit a specification document for a sign-off. And then you need to decide the very important thing, where in this process, this fuzzy process, do you want to have a human in the loop? There should always be one of those. In our organization, we have that human in the loop moment after our project work item gets created. In the demo we saw, the work item gets created. Humans review that before it goes to further in the process to make sure that things make sense. So Monday morning, when you're done, for many parts of the world, there's a long holiday weekend. So think about this a little bit. As I said, pick your fuzzy, painful process. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 step. Interview your best person, capture the checklist, build up your instruction file with your skeleton, and start with human in the loop. Do not just, if you grab my example and you want to generate development specifications, don't have that just send it directly to stakeholders to sign and turn into a legal contract. That's that's going to be a bad time. Iterate the prompt, not the plumbing. There is a fantastic talk on YouTube by Brandon Sanderson talking about how we are the art and why he doesn't like AI for writing and art and creative processes. And the key thing that he wants us to take away is we decide that there's value in the human and the process. For many of us who are trying to bring AI to help us with the process isn't the pain. The process isn't the goal. The results are the goal. So it's okay to kind of automate the process part of things. But what I am hearing from organizations is that as we're bringing in these automations, it's making the users of these processes better. Our specification requirement example here, I've actually gotten feedback from some of the newer consultants to our organization that these tools are actually helping them think about the questions they should be asking in the meetings. What's in scope? What's out of scope? What we managed to do mostly by accident with this ingestion prompt, as one example, is that we started making the people, the things that will last beyond that one workflow, we started making people better. And that for us was a very, very powerful thing for the organization. So I talked a little bit quickly because honestly, I saw that there was a lot of questions popping up in chat while I was going. If you're curious about lots of stuff, I would encourage people to go to the GitHub repo. There's a variety of tools here for some different odds and ends. These are great examples of things I've made available to help organizational evaluation. For example, in our development team, I created this agentic assessment that helps developers look back at code that they did before they became agentic developers and look at the results after they started using AI tools to compare and contrast both productivity and quality. And one that I've had a lot of fun with for some of the peers in my industry is I've also created this narrative instruction that I use a product called Clockify. It automatically tracks what I'm doing on my computer all the time. And at the end of every week, I say, you know what? Go through all of my tracked usage of my agent, of all of my tools on my desktop, and I want you to build me a story of how did I spend each half hour in that week. Build me a story. So on Thursday morning, I did these things. Think about how hard, for those of you who do time tracking and all that sort of thing, think about the process of tracking time. It's either a friction constantly in the moment, or at the end of a week or end of a month, a panic mode where you have to remember, what was I doing to record the time entry? So this is another great example of a fuzzy process that it has spread. It's not something we've enforced for the organization, but many of our developers are making use of. I just want to know where my time went in the average week. So lots of tools here for folks to make use of, and this will keep growing and growing. So with that, I think we're about, we have, I think, 10, 15 minutes left for questions. So I'm going to stop sharing and see what kind of things have we queued up, team. Or are all of the notes about fireflies doing recordings?
So, yes, Jeremy, thank you so much for the insightful session. So, those were the link I was sending across. And I can see we have got one question where our participant is requesting for the GitHub site link, if you can provide in the chat box.
Absolutely. Be happy to do so. And I'll make sure to coordinate with you to make sure that's in the YouTube recording as well. So that way that's in the description for the video afterwards. So I hope people will find enough value in this that they're linking to their colleagues that YouTube video.
Yes, absolutely. Dear participants, you'll all find the recordings of the session on our official platform. It will be available on YouTube as well as on our official platform. So in case if you need any help with that, reach out to our learning advisors for any help regarding the any session materials or any recordings. So here we go. I can see the GitHub link in the chat box. I hope you have received those links earlier. And let us know if you have any questions for us, as we still have 10 minutes to cover all the question in case if you have any. And meanwhile, I can see we have got two questions across live platform. So Jeremy, I'll be reading it for you. So the question is, we have got it from Anirudh asking, how can organization measure the ROI of agentic tools beyond productivity gains, such as decision quality, process optimization, or innovation impact?
Hmm. Uh, and that's a big question because measuring quality is always a challenge. For example, it can be very challenging to do a qualitative measure because it depends on what the costs of a bad decision are. Let me put it that way. If, for example, you're a consultative practice that bills their customers, a cost of doing something the wrong way would look like, for example, a customer being lost or credits having to be issued. If you're dealing with internal development, the cost of a wrong decision might look like you have less availability and capacity to do the things you want to do based on your time budget and your available resources. So there's a little bit of challenge to measure qualitatively because it depends on what good and bad looks like. So as you're defining each of your processes where you want to find automation, what I would encourage you to do is measure what much like you give the agent, what does good look like? What does good automation look like? In our case, for example, we went from a process where consultants had to write a specification, wait for a developer to give them an estimate, wait for a customer to give them approval. When the approval was given, wait for a developer to be available, and then hope that the developer had enough information. If they didn't, they had to wait for an answer from the consultant, to wait for an answer from the customer. We would lose many, many calendar days. It might have not been a lot of billing. So for us, what success looked like was a reduction in lost calendar days, lost velocity. We are able to more effectively, as a part of using this pilot process, for many of our customers now, we've gone from having to have a long running process over 2 or 3 weeks to get the right answers and to get started to we can give an answer that day. And if they approve that day, we could theoretically start that day. So there's a variety of different ways that you can measure success, but it depends on the pain of what not achieving that success looks like. So definitely agreed. Think about what does good look like?
Very well. Thank you very much for the detailed explanation, Jeremy. Moving forward to another question, we have got it from Brittany. How do you design agentic system that balance autonomy with human in the loop controls, especially in high risk or compliance heavy environments?
100%. In process design, you're going to need to find the moments where they're critical decision branches. In my example demo flow, we have the easy. We've now gotten a lot of information in, and it's created a requirement. That requirement milestone is a moment where we can say pause and wait. We need a human to look at the specification before it proceeds. So where I would say if you're dealing with high risk or you're needing to be very, very careful about decisions, is to take a page from other systems and go, okay, for example, if your agent is going to create like documents that are in a sales or a purchasing system, well, a human in the loop moment would be, okay, you know what? This is not from template. The agent's making decisions. So at that creation stage, when it's done with creation, now would be the time to elevate that to a user for review. I've created it before I do the next operation, printing it, sending it, whatever have you. We kind of have this moment to pause and have the human review it. So you're going to need to identify where in your workflows are the moments where it transitions from no big deal to make changes, no big deals to make corrections, to now it becomes a big deal to make that correction. For development environments, for example, the specification stage is one of those very good examples, and a review stage is also a critical example. If you're doing testing, I hope you're doing automated testing. Our industry, we've had some great talks this year about there's no way in the world for a human to read every line of code that agents are producing. Code review as we know it is kind of dead. It needs to move to heavy, good, solid testing strategies. So, for example, in our organization, testing design and making sure that the tests measure the correct outcomes is one of those human in the loop qualitative moments. So, as you design each process, figure out where, if uh, if at this moment in time, not identifying a bad decision will be multiplicative, it will have a bigger effect, then that's the moment to introduce a person.
Wonderfully answered. Thank you so much, Jeremy. And I would love to encourage all the participants, in case if you have any question later on for our speaker, or you want to discuss anything related to today's session, please feel free to reach out to him. I have already shared his LinkedIn profile link in the chat box. You'll find it. Or you can post your questions across all of our blogs. We'll make sure that our subject matter expert is getting back to you to give you answers to all of your questions. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. So before I take the handover back, Jeremy, we would love to hear final thoughts from you.
It's going to be very, very challenging for all of us this year. I think there's so much opportunity, and if you were to rewind to 2 years ago or 3 years ago and try to imagine this future today, just where we are today, you would have sounded like a crazy person, or like you were writing a nice sci-fi movie for us to all enjoy. That does mean that it's very challenging and difficult for you to help steward your organizations and your own personal development through the coming year, because more changes will keep coming. Many of the different organizations keep adding really rich toolings to agentic platforms. So it's going to be more important than ever for individuals in this workspace to follow good sources of agentic information to keep up with all the changes. My hope is that all of these tools and these platforms are going to help you be more effective with your time. And some of those efficiency gains you should turn to not taking on new additional work, but finding the time to take more training, to watch more content that will help feed that cycle to allow you to be more effective. So definitely think about that in the year ahead, gain your efficiencies, and use some of those gains to reinvest in more efficiencies.
Wonderful. Thank you so much sharing your thoughts with us, Jeremy. We'll look forward to have another session with you, as it seems you have a lot of information to share about all the agentic AI related topics. So yes, I'm definitely going to reach out to you again for another session, hopefully very soon. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So I just have quick announcement for all of you. We do have certification program for all the AI enthusiasts, where you can find all this listed certification with this AI20 promo code, where you'll be getting 20% discount. You can see we do have certification that covers AI Foundation, AI Tool Mastery, and Agentic AI, AI Domain Specialist, AI Strategic Integrated, AI Guardian, AI Change Evangelist, and Leadership Advocate. If you need any assistance or any further information, feel free to reach out to our learning advisors, or simply visit our website to understand more about other offerings that GSDC has for all of you. You'll find all the offer details in the chat box, along with the promo code and the link. And this is utility tool. Those who have joined us for the first time, we have introduced this tool earlier in the GSDC. How this tool actually works. This tool will help you to level up your profile. It will provide an improvement ideas to improve your LinkedIn profile score, your AI skills score. It will help you to build your personal brand. And also this tool has a feature where it will create AI generated resumes as well. So check this out. You can use AUG100 as a code to get 100% off, which means completely free. And this is only for our webinar attendees. So grab this opportunity, check this tool out. And I'm very happy to make this announcement. Tomorrow we'll be having another incredible session on harnessing AI in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem with Doher Drizzle Pablo. She's AI Dynamics 365 Power Platform and Data Solution Architect. Do join us on 2nd April at the same time slot, 8:30 according to Central, 9:30 p.m. Singapore, 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time, and 9:30 a.m. Eastern. And also, this is the continuation of our IOSO series where we do have these incredible industry experts who will be joining us to share the insights on strategic ISO, practical governance, AI readiness, and enterprise risk in action. So do join us. We'll find the registration link for this series in the chat box. And there's another series that we are conducting in the GSDC for all the learning and development professionals, where you can join. As you can see, we have these incredible industry experts who will be joining us to share the insights as well. This is happening this week, 30th March till 3rd April. So this is on another time slot. Make a note of it. This is happening at 10:30 a.m. Central, 11:30 p.m. Singapore, 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time, and 11:30 a.m. Eastern. You'll find all the registration link for all the webinars that I'm announcing right now, where you'll be get the WhatsApp link as well. If you join the WhatsApp group, you'll get the link and everything, the daily updates on every webinars, along with the registration link, the WhatsApp link. So please do join us through that. And we do have these referral champions who have referred maximum people to this specific series. Let's congratulate to them and appreciate them for taking efforts by referring people towards knowledgeable and powerful sessions like this, right? So it is something that you are taking step ahead and becoming thoughtful leader by referring people, isn't it? So you still have a time, as we'll be announcing all the final winners at the end of this series. So do refer maximum people and be the winner. However, all the winners will be getting rewards, which is worth $400. So it's just a simple criteria where you have to earn 50 or more than 50 points to be eligible and be winner, right? So do refer maximum people to our session. And this is regarding the partnership. In case if you're looking for any individual certification programs or authorized training partner, ETP, or accredited university academic partnership, or on enterprise level partnership, we do have this relevant spoke.
I do believe, unfortunately, that our host perhaps, I saw her laptop was running out of battery, so I think perhaps we may have just lost our host. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. And I'm going to close up the webinar because we don't have any more slides. Thanks, everyone.